Hi, I'm Rob Shaw, mountain athlete. I'm here with a couple of my athletes and also a couple of Marmot athletes. On my left here is Pip Hunt, and on my right is Hadley Hammer. And both these athletes are free skiers for Marmot. And we're going to talk about this their trip this past weekend. They left here in Jackson and attempted to climb and ski the West Hourglass Couloir and the Middle Teton Glacier Trail up in the Tetons, and they were able to get the West Hourglass Couloir, but they had to pull off the Middle Teton Glacier because the conditions got too soft. What we're going to talk about today is just the clothing systems they put together to start their hike. And you guys, I know you met like at 4 o'clock. Did you start walking at 4 a.m.?
We started walking about 5 o'clock in the morning. Once we got to the trailhead and got all our stuff.
And it was really warm weekend. How warm was it when you started walking? Any idea?
I think I looked at the thermometer. It only said about like 40 when we left the car. It wasn't that warm when we first left. So we actually had some layers on when we first took off. But I mean, within 10 minutes, we were shedding layers.
Right.
We warmed up pretty quick.
So these guys had to carry their skis, their boots. They couldn't skin in. It's dry up to a pretty high elevation right now. And we weighed Hadley's pack today, and it was 55 pounds is what she carried in there. So they had that on their back. Plus food, right? Okay. So this was Hadley's clothing system that she used. And Hadley, just tell me what you had there at the bottom. Did you have any underwear on or any long base layer? Or what did you use underneath your? Because you have a pair of soft shell pants here, right?
Yeah, I had a pair of soft shell pants, and I actually only wore a pair of like gym shorts underneath.
Okay.
And then just had this one Marmot. It's one of their thinner long underwear layers.
Okay.
And a sports bra underneath that. And I actually kept that on 100% of the time, even when it was hot, just to keep the sun off my skin directly. And it actually breathed really well and pretty cool.
Okay. And so that was just all you had. Okay. Did you have to take that mid layer off and just hike up in your sports bra, or did you leave it on the whole time?
I left it on.
And it breathed well enough for you?
It breathed really well.
Interesting. So you all the way to the platforms you did then.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Good. And you just wore a hat for the sun and some sunglasses.
Yep.
Okay, Pip, tell me what you wore over here.
I went through a little bit more of a layered effect than Hadley did. I get hot pretty quickly, and I definitely can't keep hiking in long sleeves. So I wore my skins on the bottom just to, help a little bit of compression, and they're really lightweight and really breathable, so my legs wouldn't get too warm. I wore a pair of Backcountry's house brand merino socks, as well as 2 of Backcountry's house brand, which is, this brand's called Stoic. They make some great merino base layers, so I wore a merino t-shirt as well as a long sleeve layer. They're both really lightweight and breathable, and since they're merino, they don't get really smelly, which is great. So I actually only brought these 2 layers for the whole trip, so I didn't have to change the whole time, bring up any extra layers.
So you didn't bring a mid-layer fleece then?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I just brought these 2 layers, and then had my baseball hat just to keep the sun off my face, and the sunglasses.
Awesome. Now I know that Hadley, you took when you did your skiing, you just skied in your soft shell pants. You didn't go ahead and put a pair of hard shell pants on at all. And
I had a pair, but they stayed in my pack the whole time.
So you had a pair, you didn't use them. And then Pip, what you put your shell on, right?
Yep, I just I kept my skins on and just put my shells over my skins once I got to the platforms, and just hiked in these the whole time. They've got some really nice full-length zips so that they're really breathable. I don't get too hot in them. They worked really well. I really liked them.
Awesome. One of the things that I had these 2 do as they went up was to kind of do a little comparison between two brands of gels, Goo brand gel and then Hammer Strength brand gel. And so for the first day they started, they had they ate the same breakfast both days, very close. And the first day was a Goo that you used first?
Yep, we used Goo the first day.
They used Goo the first day, and their direction was to use it all the way up to the top of the ski and then all the way down, and not to anything else. And then the next day, use the Hammer Strength, right? And then I guess tell me your impressions of just using gel like that, and then how both products did for you.
My first impression, I don't usually eat every 45 minutes to an hour when I'm hiking. I'm usually more of an every 2-hour person, so I noticed a huge difference in my attitude and my ability to stay positive throughout the entire day. I usually have moments where I get pretty negative during long endurance days, and I didn't have any of that. I was really even-keeled the whole day, which has proven to me that I need to eat more frequently while I'm hiking. The biggest difference that I noticed is that the Goo just has a very different texture. It's a little bit creamier, where the Hammer is a little bit more jelly-like. I don't know, I think they both worked really well, but I was definitely ready to eat some solid food by the end of the 2-day experiment.
And Hadley, what did you think?
I had a really similar experience as Pip, whereas I tend not to concentrate too much on how much liquid I'm drinking or food I'm eating while I'm hiking, so it did help to just stop every 45 minutes and consume calories, and you never really have those plateaus of tiredness and energeticness. You kind of just stayed even, and we just were, I think our tempo was pretty much exactly the same the whole time. We didn't have these bursts of speed or bursts of slowness.
And you guys, did you use an alarm to make
Yep.
sure you eat
Yep.
correct, right?
Yeah, we set an alarm on Hadley's cell phone and it went off every 45 minutes, and we would stop and eat and then just keep going again.
Yeah, that was the direction. They had to follow the directions on the package. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it keeps you to drink a lot more water than I usually would as well, because you have to, I mean, if you didn't, you'd have that kind of consistency in your mouth. So you definitely drank way more water than I would have normally.
Interesting. Now I want to talk about, I know the second day you camped up there, you got up, and you're going to try to ski the Middle Teton Couloir. And as I understand it, you got within 20-30 yards of the top where you wanted to ski, and you made the decision then to turn around. Talk me through that kind of decision process. I think you were behind, right? Mm-hmm. Go ahead and tell me what you saw and what you did.
When I was behind Pip and we were sort of just putting in our steps on the way up off the left side, every time her pole, which was her whippet pole, would go in, a pretty sizable slough would come off, and when we were about middle of the way up, a wet slide occurred naturally. And what was interesting about the route we were taking was that there was 2 crevasses that ran 3/4 of the way across, and from my viewpoint I could just watch the snow water falling straight in the crevasses. So that was kind of one of those moments where you're like, all right, this is, if we get sloughed, the danger of it is way bigger than
you're going to end up in that crevasse and get buried.
So we made the decision point, even though we were literally so close to the top, that the best thing to do was not even to ski down, but just down climb with our crampons and ice axes, which to me, I don't know, I think it's really good for people who spend a lot of time in the mountains to turn around and practice knowing that they can turn around even with a really close summit.
And anything to add to that, Pip, from your experience there?
I mean, it was a really hard choice. There was a moment where I turned around and I was like, Hadley, like time efficiency, is it better to stop here and put our skis on, or to take the extra 5 minutes to hike to the top and have a flat platform where it's going to be safer to put our skis on? Like, it was definitely a hard choice, and she looked at me and she's like, what if we down climb? And I was like, all right, that sounds like a good idea. But at the same time, I think down climbing was way scarier for me because I don't have a lot of experience with down climbing with crampons and an ice axe than skiing down that same run would be. Way scarier.
What's kind of interesting is that this is the first time you guys have ever gone out and actually skied and done anything together. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so that was one of the things I wanted to send you out and kind of see how that interaction worked.
Yep, I think it went really well. Mm-hmm. It was fun.
And I think that there's, a rule that at least I try to follow is if one person says no, everyone says no. Even if everyone else is feeling comfortable, I think that's, for me, a guideline that I'd always like to follow is if one person's uncomfortable, there's no talking them into it. It's just, okay, we're done. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good rule. Good rule of thumb.
Thank you very much.